What's it like to lead one of the world's largest transportation companies, with operations stretching across 4 continents on both land and sea? On this episode of Transit Unplugged, I sit down with Graeme Legh, the newly appointed Group CEO of Kelsian, a global leader in multimodal transit. I'm Paul Comfort, and I recently had the chance to visit Kelsian's impressive operations in Australia. And I was so struck by what I saw, I wanted to meet the CEO of their U.S. operations, which is called All Aboard America Holdings. They're the 4th largest motorcoach operator in the country. And that CEO is Graeme Legh. Well, we set up the interview, and by the time we got to this recording today, he had just been promoted to CEO of the entire company. Perfect timing. So we get to talk about his journey, the company's global growth, their leadership and sustainability, and how public-private partnerships can thrive at scale. If you like what you hear today, be sure to like and follow us on the platform you're listening on, and leave us a review. It helps others discover the show and hear the voices of the world's leading transit innovators. Now let's join the conversation with Graeme Legh, CEO of Kelsian Group. Graeme, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Great to be joined.
Of course, I'm near Annapolis, Maryland. Where in the world are you at today?
I'm in Adelaide in Australia, so it's probably not one of the obvious cities that a lot of your listeners would have heard of, but I think it's the 4th or 5th largest city in Australia, down on the southern coast, and the head office of Kelsian Group.
That's great. Yeah. As you and I were just talking about in the green room, I was able to visit some of your operations there in Australia, and I was very impressed by them and with your group. So it's a real honor to have you on the show today.
Excellent. Great to hear that. Looking forward to the discussion.
Now, you had a fascinating international career from Australia to the UK to Singapore and to the US and now back to Australia. Tell us about, that journey some, and tell us some about your company, Kelsian.
I've been in the transit or bus industry now for over 15 years, so quite a long time. And I've learned over that period there's probably 2 types of people that end up in this industry: the ones that are born into it and are in it for their lives and never want to get out, and then the other ones like me who sort of fall into it. It was never on my list to be a transport or transit industry specialist, but I happened to fall into an opportunity over 15 years ago now. And been involved ever since. And the thing that has kept me involved in the business is, over that 15 plus year journey, the number of opportunities we've had as a business, but also just the number of opportunities in this space are huge. And we continue to see that today. And that's why I'm really excited to take on this new role leading the Kelsian Group. As you mentioned, we've got operations in Australia where the businesses were founded, moved into the UK and Singapore, and then more recently with our acquisition of All Aboard America Holdings in the US. So we've got a presence in some really, really interesting markets, and each of those markets has significant opportunities, which I think is a great story for us moving forward, and something I'm looking forward to capitalise on as I step into the role. In terms of what Kelsian does, so fundamentally we're a transit operator. The largest part of our business is in Australia, running transit bus operations, but we are a multimodal operator. We also run Australia's largest ferry, passenger and vehicle ferry fleet, run to some of the world-renowned tourist destinations in Australia, some of the great islands that Australia has. And then offshore in Singapore, we operate bus transit under contract to the Land Transport Authority in Singapore. And we also operate transit operations in the UK and Channel Islands. And then where I spent the last couple of years is running our All Aboard America business in the US, where All Aboard America was one of the largest motorcoach operators in the US. So a little bit different to the transit background of the rest of the Kelsian business. But again, in a super exciting space with huge amount of growth in front of us. At the end of the day, we run buses like we do in Australia. So there's a lot of similarities between what we do in Australia and the US, which is why we think that was a great acquisition for us and has got huge opportunities for us moving forward.
Yeah, while we're there on that topic, tell us a little bit more about All American Holding, how it works and how it fits into the Kelsian Group. It is a little bit different than the work you do elsewhere, right?
Yeah, and it's I mean, we, as I said, one of the largest motor coach operators in the US, but we do fly a bit under the radar. And the reason we do that is we really operate 6 separate brands in the various locations across the south and southwest of the US. So the business is a combination of those 6 market leading brands, which are very well known in their local geographies. It was actually one of the things that really attracted us with the Kelsian hat on to the all aboard business originally, in that we liked the model that they had set up of the very strong local operating brands coming together under common ownership and common direction of all aboard holdings. It's a very similar structure to the way our business has grown and developed in Australia, where we also operate a number of diverse brands with the leaders of those brands given a lot of power to control their destiny and take their business where they believe the best opportunities are in their local market under the single umbrella and guidance of Kelsian Group, but more specifically in the US, the All Aboard America Holdings company.
What's it like to take over as CEO of a major company like this in the first month? What's it been like for you?
It's obviously a big step up and a big learning curve, as it is stepping into a new role. I think the benefit that I've got stepping into this role is I think I know the underlying business pretty well. I've been involved over the last 15 years in a large number of the operations in Australia, internationally, and more recently running our US business. So I do think I know the underlying business very well, which is a big head start for me. But obviously stepping into the group CEO role comes with a number of challenges and responsibilities and everything else that comes with a job like this. Our business, like any business, has got some challenges at the moment, and getting my head around those and working out how we plot our best path forward, really so that we are in a position to take advantage of some of the really great growth opportunities in the industry, in the jurisdictions that we operate, is really going to be my focus, because some of these opportunities don't come around that often, and I think we've got to make sure we're positioned internally in the best possible way to take advantage of those opportunities if and when they do come up.
Yeah, one of the things that I was fascinated by during my trip there to Australia, just prior to U.S. Thanksgiving, was how that everything is contracted out. Fixed route, rail. Here in the United States, we seem to focus heavily on contracting out paratransit, van service, on demand, those kind of things, and a little bit of fixed route, but very different there in Australia, right? I mean, pretty much you're the operator of most of the transit services in the places where you're at, right? In other words, fixed route, rail, light rail, all that.
Yeah, I mean, Australia, like the US, big country with different states that like to do things different ways. So there is a bit of a diversity across the different states of Australia. But really, the reason our business has grown to become one of the largest operators in Australia is through taking advantage of a wave of outsourcing and contracting that governments have gone through in a number of key jurisdictions in Australia. Obviously, it's in our interest to say this, but I think there's also a bunch of evidence to support it, to show that governments, if they do this the right way, governments and transit authorities can get a really, really good outcome through going down the contracting route, regardless of the mode. It is a bit narrow-minded to only focus on a small subset of the overall transportation requirements as needing to be contracted out. I think the key thing is for governments to get their model right, and then follow through with that model, not focused on the mode of the transportation, but focused on getting the best outcome for their customers. And I think there are a number of jurisdictions in Australia that have done that very well.
Tell us about some of the innovations you're seeing in the public transportation world, from your perspective. What are some of the innovations in 2025 that you think are having an impact on the industry?
Yeah, I mean, in the Australian business at the moment, we're not probably at the forefront like some of the business in Europe, but we're very rapidly moving to decarbonise our transit bus fleets. Obviously, that technology in itself is a big innovation, a big change, and should make public transport networks obviously more sustainable, but hopefully more reliable and more customer friendly. But our big focus is working out how we can best align with that new technology to deliver significant efficiencies for our government clients. Ultimately, the way we grow as a business is to show our government clients that we operate the network as efficiently as possible. And one of the ways we generate growth for ourselves is by showing them that making certain changes to look at how we operate things and better utilize our assets means they essentially get more value for money for every dollar that they need to take from taxpayers to put into the public transport network. So with the change in technology to battery electric buses in the large part here in Australia, that does change the operating environment for us. It comes with charging requirements, which are different to the diesel fleet, but at the same time, it comes with a different maintenance profile to what we had with the diesel fleet. And we're very focused on using our technologies and our people ultimately to find the optimal solution to deliver the best value for money for our clients, given they are the ones generally who are making the very, very significant investments in both the buses and the infrastructure as we move to a zero-emission transit fleet. So that's very much our focus in Australia, is trying to be the forefront of that. And we are taking that focus elsewhere to our other operations. Now, our business in the US, being motorcoaches, is not going to be on the same timeline like some of our transit operations in terms of moving to alternative powered vehicles. Now, the diesel motorcoach, I think, is going to be around for a very long time. But we are taking the learnings we're generating from the new technology and the shift we're seeing in some of our other markets and making sure, when the shift does happen, we are in the best possible place to take advantage of it, even in markets where that change is further off.
Hey, Transit Unplugged listeners, this is Paul Comfort. Something big is coming. Transit Unplugged has grown in ways we've never imagined, from in-depth conversations with top transit leaders to award-winning travel videos reaching audiences of millions around the world. We've been on an incredible journey together. Now it's time for the next chapter, a fresh look, a bold new vision. But don't worry, our mission stays the same: to inspire with meaningful stories, to spark industry conversations, and showcase the best in public transportation and mobility. This rebrand represents our growth, fresh energy, and our commitment to you, our listeners and viewers. The countdown starts now. Stay tuned and let us know what's been your favorite Transit Unplugged moment. What are some of your other priorities as CEO that you're hoping in your vision over the next 12 to 24 months there at Kelsian Group? You're publicly traded, right?
Yeah, so we're a publicly traded company on the Australian Stock Exchange. So that's one of the learning curves for me is getting the feel of listening to our investors and hearing what they have to say when we report. And obviously, that message is important. I think we're in a really, really good spot. I think we're in a great part of the market. There are significant opportunities, and if we can get ourselves set up in the best possible light to take advantage of opportunities, I think delivering the growth that our shareholders would like to see is not going to be a challenge. So my focus over the short to medium term is to really focus on what we do best. At the end of the day, while all business is complicated, especially these days, what we really do is simple. We want to provide the best possible customer service for our customers, and fundamentally, we want to deliver extremely reliable and extremely safe transportation. So my message to the team is let's focus on making sure we do those simple things really, really well. Because if we do those well, the other transformational changes and transformational growth and taking advantage of the opportunities that were in front of us, that'll take care of itself if we do the simple things well and deliver for our customers and clients.
All right, let's have some fun with some fun questions now. We've got through all the serious stuff. Like me, you travel a lot, right? You've been across Australia, the UK, Singapore, and the US. Where do you get the best coffee?
Oh, look, Australia does a pretty good job of coffee.
Melbourne coffee is great, man.
I think places like Adelaide and Melbourne, hard to beat, especially when you travel a lot. It's one of the things I miss is a really good coffee from the local coffee shop back home in Australia.
Yeah, when I was there a couple months ago, every day we had coffee at a different place every day, and they were all amazing. Man.
it's part of everyday life here and part of doing business. So you've got to enjoy coffee if you want to do business in this country.
That's great. So when did you come to the U.S.? How long ago was that? And did you have any culture shock when you came over?
So Kelsian acquired All Aboard America in June 2023. So I was there just short of 2 years. The original plan was to be there a bit longer than that, but there's
opportunity arose. Yeah,
opportunities arise, and you can never plan these things out. So I ended up spending just under 2 years. So moved the family across. We were based in Brisbane in Australia before that. I moved the family across to Denver in Colorado, where All Aboard's head office is, and we had an absolutely fantastic 18 months to two years. I got two little girls, and they'd never seen snow before, so they got to learn pretty quickly what a real winter was in the mountains of Colorado, which is fantastic. And they've come back to Australia now with American accents, so it's a very good reminder of our excellent time that we had in the US.
Yeah. Brisbane's amazing, man, and the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast. Well, we were in the Sunshine Coast we were there for the weekend. Remember, we went to that zoo, the Australia Zoo. Yeah, you go right in and pet the animals in there. It was just such a relaxed, laid back. I said I could live here, man. This place is great.
Yeah, no, Colorado was great, but it's great being home. So we're pretty lucky. We've lived in some great places.
What do you think the most understated skill is that a transit CEO needs today?
I mean, I always look at our business. As I said, it's very easy to overcomplicate things, and we're a big business now, and there are very complicated aspects for it. But at the end of the day, what we do is simple. And the thing that I always come back to is we are a people business in every way that you look at it. In terms of we fundamentally move people. That's what we're paid to do. But more importantly, we are a people business in terms of our team and our employees and the frontline staff. We need to deliver for our customers. So. In terms of the biggest skill is understanding how important the people are and really being able to connect with the very diverse range of people that we need as a business to be successful, right across the operation and across the different geographies that we operate. So that ability to connect with people, I think, is probably the key one for me.
Having worked in both locations, what do you think the biggest difference is between working in the U.S. and Australia?
Now there are a lot of similarities, which is good because I think it makes us going to the US and guys from the US coming to Australia a lot easier because fundamentally there are a lot of similarities. Probably the biggest thing that I learned that I really want to try and bring back to our Australian team, but also just how the people how we do business in Australia is. I think Americans doing business and the US doing business come at things with a very optimistic attitude. When I sat with my team and we looked at the opportunities in front of us when we were in the US, it was very much, what can we do to make this happen? As opposed to, sometimes in other parts of the world, it's, these are all the reasons, we can't go and do this, and this is why it's all too hard. And I think just attacking problems and attacking opportunities with that really optimistic background, makes a huge difference in terms of how you're ultimately successful in delivering some of those things. So I think that's one of the things that I was super impressed with in terms of our team in the US, but just the US generally, the opportunities, the optimism they have to go after opportunities, as opposed to sometimes seeing all the roadblocks come up as why we can't do things. So that's one of the big things that I would like to bring out of the US and bring back to our business.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I like that. Do you have a favorite mode of public transportation? Bus, ferry, train, or something else? Do you ride motorcycles or anything?
We as I said, we run a lot of ferries, and some of our ferry operations are pretty hard to beat. Going to work on a ferry down the Brisbane River, where I was from originally, or another place in Australia. It's sometimes not the most efficient way from a time point of view to get to work, but a fantastic way to arrive at work with a really good mindset, sitting on a ferry, reading the paper or drinking a coffee. So no, I think ferry transport in the transit world is pretty hard to beat, and hard for all of our bus operations to compete with some of the great ferry services we run in Australia. One of the ones that I did get pretty close to is the Mustang motorcoach service in Colorado. So that's a service that we run under contract to the Colorado Department of Transport, running motor coaches from Denver primarily to all the key locations in Colorado. And one of the big services that we operate is along the I-70 into the mountains. So given I quite like skiing and having the opportunity to live in Denver and do a bit of skiing in Colorado, getting one of our Mustang buses up into the mountains was always a pretty good transit experience as well.
That is good. Yeah, that sounds fun. I love the long distance rails personally. I've done some amazing rail trips, even excursion rail, like in Denver. It was Denver to Moab. It's a great excursion train that's there. It's good times. Okay, a couple more questions. That's just kind of fun stuff. I don't often get a chance to ask fun questions, so I wanted to throw it in with you. Do you have tell me about that island that you guys own over there in Australia, and you've got service there, you've got bus service to it, and you've got ferries to go to it. It's like an eco island or something like that.
We've got a marine and tourism division in Australia that sits alongside our bus division, and that division is fortunate enough to run the ferry services to some fantastic islands and absolutely beautiful places if people ever get a chance to come to Australia. So there's a number of key ones. There's Kangaroo Island, which is a service in South Australia from Adelaide, where we run the ferry, but we also run a number of coach tours and other tourism opportunities on the island. And then in Queensland, again, we run a vehicle ferry to Stradbroke Island, but also then have the transit contract providing the bus transit services on the islands. Some of these island destinations, we really are fundamental to the people that call those islands home in terms of how they get to and from the mainland, their transit on the island, but also, and importantly, providing a great customer experience for all the tourists that travel to the islands and really drive those economies. So, we take that responsibility pretty seriously and know we're a big part of what makes those communities tick. And that's a good thing. And we hope we're doing a good job.
All right, let's get a little esoteric here then. What do you think the best leadership advice is that you've ever received?
Well, that's a good one. I've worked for some great leaders, and the ones that I've worked for always seem to have their sayings, which simplify things and make it clear. One that I come back to pretty often is a pretty famous quote. Something to the effect of, if you cannot do great things, do small things in great ways.
Oh, I like that.
In terms of the teams that I've led, I think that's one of the things that I hope I've brought to the table in helping them see through some of the complexity and some of the roadblocks that we're talking about. Sometimes when you're presented with a problem, it all looks so big and complicated, it feels a bit insurmountable. And I think one of the key jobs as a leader is helping your team realize that every problem can be broken down into small things. And if you do those small things well, you got every chance of actually being successful in the big things. So, as I said, big focus of mine is let's look at the simple fundamental things we do and do them really, really well. And if we take that attitude into the problems we face and our teams face on a daily basis, I think that's a good way to help them work through some of the big challenges that inevitably come up.
And final question, and you can add in anything you want to here, Graeme, at the end, but I'm wondering what excites you most about the future of mobility, both where you operate, but even around the world. What is exciting you most as you look to the horizon?
Yeah, I think it's an industry, as you would know, Paul, being around for a long time. From the outside, it doesn't look that exciting, and everyone just says you run buses up and down the street. What's going on there? But I think once you're on the inside and you see what's happening, I think I understand and I can see that there's huge opportunities for this industry moving forward. There's some really big macro themes around the world that the transport and transit industry are, riding the tailwinds on. I think urbanization around the world has been a big theme over 50 years plus going back. I think that's going to continue into the future. And alongside that, the more recent theme of decarbonisation and working out how we do things sustainably moving forward. And I think the transit and mass transport industry is really fundamental to making sure both of those things are successful. we can't all keep moving to cities and not get around, and we can't achieve anything that politicians and other people want to achieve in terms of doing things sustainably if we're not utilising mass transportation as effectively and efficiently as possible. So, what excites me is trying to work out how our various mass transit opportunities around the place can really, one, take advantage of those things, but two, really be a key solution to what is going to be an ongoing problem as far as we look out in the future. And I think that comes with huge opportunities. And if we can be the ones that can take advantage of that and solve some of those problems, I think our business has got a long road of success in front of it.
Well, I wish you great success, Graeme, in your new role as CEO of Kelsian Group, one of the largest transportation companies, not only in Australia, but the world. We thank you for being a guest with us today on Transit Unplugged, and hope to visit you again sometime in the next couple of years in Australia. Maybe we'll come visit one of those islands.
Yeah, no, definitely let me know when you're back here, Paul, and I would be very happy to take you on one of those great ferry rides to one of the great islands. So thanks, appreciate the offer to come on the show, and it's been a great talk.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Transit Unplugged podcast. We're so glad you're here. My name is Julie Gates. I'm the executive producer of the show. And our goal is to create programs that promote the great things going on in the transit industry by providing you with behind-the-scenes access with industry executive leadership so we can work together to find innovative industry solutions. We would love to have you be a part of the Transit Unplugged community by having you sign up for our newsletter. Head to the show notes to find the link. Thanks for listening to Transit Unplugged with Paul Comfort, our favorite transit evangelist, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in.